You are listening now to the Spirituality Now podcast, the show that is solely focused on practical spirituality, leadership, and mindset skills with the aim and purpose of supporting you master your life. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. I am your host, Ivonne de la Flor, and I am mega excited. And I think this is the first episode that I said mega. I always say I'm super excited. And I genuinely am, because I get to interview the most brilliant minds and hearts and genuine leaders that are really caring for humanity, that are not talking about what they're going to do, but they are doing it. The results for them matter. And it's not about them. It's actually about others. And the human being, the soul that I'm going to interview today has been pivotal in my leadership, personal, parenting, relationships. I'm a little ashamed about that, but relationships path. He is my coach, not only time management, not only organization, not only planning and accountability, but far much more spiritual in the sense of Christianity than I could ever say in a podcast. Those of you who are not watching this, you can meet my coach if you follow us on YouTube. Remember, we are in all podcast platforms, everywhere. You can even tell your robots, play the Spirituality Now podcast, play the episode of Jeff Krug that we're going to interview today, and you will have it in your home in any single device and any single platform. But we're also on YouTube, so if you want to meet us and if you want to see the excitement of my face for having my coach here today, you can follow us on YouTube too. We are a philanthropic podcast. We don't do advertisements or anything. I am self-sponsored. Well, not I, my company, because we have a team, is sponsoring it. It's produced by Brilliant Futures Productions. We are now in alignment with all of our core values after years and years and years of testing the waters of that. So please support us by following, liking, sharing, and send us your comments. Your feedback is very important. And that's it. Anyways, let me introduce you to my coach, because I genuinely, my heart is on celebration mode. And I thank God first for having met him. Second, I thank Brian Tracy, who was he was my first one-on-one coach that, I invested a lot of money in, but it was incredible, because through Brian Tracy, training with him 6 months, I got to train with Jeff Krug for 6 months. And it has been a friendship of many years. I don't even know how many, but we look better than when we started. Anyways, so let me introduce you to my coach, Jeff Krug. He's the founder and president of Krug Associates, that founded in 1991. Prior to starting his own business, Jeff worked in the corporate world, where he sold, trained, and developed marketing programs. As a sales manager, Jeff coached his people to achieve success. Jeff's style of coaching, which is very unique, I promise you, is very unique, and you can genuinely feel the care, not only for you that the coach has, but of your results. It's unbelievable. Collaboration of both client and coach are very important. Known to his clients as the question man. Oh boy. I'm still answering some of his questions. His listening skills and business knowledge allow Jeff to help individuals and organizations to discover exactly what they want to improve. Together, they develop their plan. Accountability then allows for the achieving of objectives like better communications and organization. I know for me it was from night to day. This method of coaching helps the client to achieve results in both his and her professional and personal life. I'm going to add my notes here, especially when you do the work. He is a charter life member of the National Association of Business Coaches, the NABC, now known as WABC. Served as an executive board member for 3 years, and Jeff holds 3 coaching certifications. Certified business coach, focusing on the small and medium-sized businesses, a certification he co-authored. It's called the CBC. and Certified Executive Coach, CEC, focusing on the larger organizations and C-suite positions. My goodness. Registered Corporate Coach, RCC, and co-author of the book, Stop Wasting Your Time and Start Doing What Matters Most, a wake-up call for true leadership, which was endorsed by Brian Tracy. Not only the book, but also the workbook, which he put a lot of work in. And may I sneak in? I am the co-author. I cannot even believe this.
Exactly.
So,
Yes, please do.
so, Coach, welcome to the show. I'm so honored to have you here.
Well, thank you. I am honored that you asked me,
Oh my
and it's
goodness.
it's it's a delight to be here.
Oh my
It
God.
really is.
I am so excited because, once you have a good mentor and a good coach, no matter if you stop working for a month or for years or something, they are always your mentors. There's always like a filial piety respect. There's always this uh, hierarchical, but out of morality, out of gratitude of all the things you've been able to create because of your coaches and mentors. So I really honor and I'm really thankful to God and Brian Tracy, first, second, right, to have met you. So, Coach, this show is called Stop Wasting Your Time, which I truly believe it not only fits your coaching style, it fits your the book that we co-authored and the workbook, but also it fits all the incredible results you've been able to co-create with your clients. I know for me it was day to night. I mean, I used to live overwhelmed, and then I used to live organized, and I even got to schedule distractions. We're going to talk about that. But let's ask, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how a little bit about you, where you come from. I know I just read your bio, but what brought you in your life, in your background, to have this incredible, very attuned relationship with time?
Well, I think the one thing that in the beginning, starting my own business was never a dream. It was one of those things that happened. I think if you read the book, The E Myth, there are two types of entrepreneurs. There are the McDonald's who create this massive organization, and there are other entrepreneurs who create a job for themselves. And mine was to create a job for myself after 22 years in the corporate world. And then stepping away from that, I needed something to do. So, as it turned out, I created my own business. It wasn't necessarily a plan, but it happened that way. And when you do that, one of the things you have to remember is as the owner of a small business and you start up, you do everything. I people who say they want to start their own business and they want to go out on their own, the one of the questions I'll ask them is, are you prepared to do toilets, clean toilets? Because you do everything. And so right off the early on, one of the things that I discovered was that if I didn't have a good daily schedule, things didn't get done. And so really from the very beginning, it was having to create a good schedule. And then as it turned out, I just realized that I needed to put things in specific time slots. I mean, we talk about that in the book, but it's important to have things. I'm going to start at 8 and finish that whatever it is at 9, and then I'm going to do something else. But have a good organized schedule for the day with time set aside. And that's really how it kind of started. And it just kind of grew from there. Also, and you know this, Ivonne, is that when we start working with people, we've really discovered that probably 98% of people struggle with time management. So if we have some tricks and little helpful hints that we can help them with, it just begins to grow and grow and they begin to get better and better. And so when you have one person be successful with scheduling their day and using their time more efficiently, the next one becomes a little bit easier, and the next client or person it becomes a little bit easier to help them and understand the importance of making sure that we put things in time slots and we have the time to do it. And what's amazing, and I know you found this as well, is when we help somebody to understand that and they start to put it in place, the light goes off, sort of, and the ideas, and they suddenly realize they're getting more done in a day. And that's really we all have the same amount of time. It's how we use it.
Yes, I love that of you because you just said something very important, bro, all of it, but that we need to have tools and tricks because people are really challenged by time,
Hmm.
right? And most of I'm a, I help people in coaching with lifestyle, like life mastery,
Hmm.
spirituality, meditation, all that stuff. And the most challenging thing for people is they are so overwhelmed, have a belief that they cannot do it all, right?
Right.
And one of the tricks I pass them on, and we'll talk about, is something I learned with you. And I always refer to, like, well, my time management coach, my goal setting coach, my get it done coach taught me this tool or skill called PTT. I love it so much. I mean, till this day, my children do it thanks to you. When we do the PTTs on the phones, now I send PTTs to my children on text. This is your
Okay.
PTT for the day and all of that. But I have noticed that when people put, and tell me, if I learned well, but I'm also applying it. When people put things in the schedule, they take it out of their mind, and it's far much easier to manage yourself, your emotions, your everything in your life with that
Yeah.
happens. Would you tell us a little bit of what are the effects? Why is time so important to manage it, right? And for your mental health, for your emotional health, and for the health of the corporations and the organizations too.
Well, when you think about having a good schedule and knowing exactly what you want to get accomplished in a day, and we all know that, as I said, we all have the same amount of time. It's how we use it. So if we have that good schedule and we have that good plan, number one, we're not stressed. And stress is probably one of the biggest things that people struggle with, both mentally and physically. We know what stress will do to us if we let it overwhelm us. So we don't get overwhelmed if we use our time efficiently and we have a good plan. We can reduce our stress. We also, what it does is it allows us to make sure that we give everything that we want to get accomplished some time every day if we choose to. And I think the biggest part is we have to remember is we get to choose how we spend our time. Nobody else does. We're in control of our own time. And if we ask somebody whose calendar is it, whose schedule is it, it's theirs. They have to understand it's theirs. They get to say no sometimes. So just the physical lack of stress is so important. The ability to take that off our shoulders, so to speak, so we're not so weighted down with all the issues and all the problems. Just
Yes.
put them in a time slot.
I love that because that will, removing stress removes challenges in families. And
Hmm.
removing challenges in families, I can go to work if I work on a business that is not at home, for example.
Sure.
If I'm not a home entrepreneur and I have to go to, respect the schedule of a business, I still have
Right.
time, right? I still can create. If I manage, and the key here is, you said,
Hmm.
efficiently, because sometimes people think that time management is, let me put as much things I can in the day, and they still feel that they haven't done anything or they feel stressed. So what are
Right.
these pros and cons of time management? The pros, obviously, one is approaching the efficiency of time and inefficiency. So
Hmm.
what will be the pros and the cons of doing it right or doing it wrong?
Well, we have a saying that oftentimes people struggle with the squirrel syndrome. That they they start working on something and then they go, "Oh, squirrel, look over there," and they allow themselves to be distracted because they don't have a plan. If we do have that plan, the pro is we eliminate the squirrel syndrome by having a good schedule. The con is we don't get nearly as much accomplished if we don't have a schedule. And that's the time management is not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. It's just a matter of knowing what we're doing, when we're doing it, and for how long. And oftentimes, people will schedule things for several hours and then wonder why they didn't get as much accomplished because they allow themselves to try to work on it too long at one time. I know we talk about this in the book, and that is that we called it focus time. And focus time is how long we can work on something before we get distracted or before we allow the squirrel to draw our attention away. And the reality is that focus time for almost everyone runs between 45 minutes and an hour. After that, we start to lose concentration on whatever it is we're doing. And so when that happens, we basically don't get nearly as much accomplished. Where if it's a longer project, we schedule an hour in the morning and we might schedule another hour in the afternoon, but we've done other activities in between. And that allows our mind to stay fresh on the various things that we want to get accomplished or the various projects that we're working on. And so that's why knowing what your focus time is, knowing what your schedule is, means you're going to get much more accomplished in a day.
Exactly. I love that. And that, even hearing you, my brain is reorganizing. I think uh, I became so much more calmer and even more efficient and more productive when I really was studying with you, and when I applied what you shared. And one of the things that the tools that you gave me was, let's talk about the PTT and the importance of goals being smart. Because
Okay.
for me, I had, me, I'm like, oh, I want to create this for the world. I want to do that. I think I could become a squirrel myself, So I gotta train the squirrel within, and like all these goals because I like to complete whatever I start. I have I don't know what I feel in my body if I don't complete it, if I don't follow
Sure.
through. If it's I always like to complete what I started. I don't like to start and not complete. So, but doing this, applying the PTT and the SMART goals, which I didn't know before, I just thought goals are great, but they were not smart. So, tell us about the PTT first, and then the goals in the need of them to be smart.
Okay. Well, the PTT we kind of came up with, it's plan tomorrow today. And it's nothing more than taking approximately 15 minutes at the end of the day and reviewing tomorrow's schedule, making sure that we know what it is we want to get accomplished tomorrow and when we're going to be doing it. And the reason that's important is because if we walk in if we walk into our office, say tomorrow morning on Friday, and we're not sure of what we're going to do, the first thing the first activity we would do would be to check our calendar, see what we're supposed to be doing. But in the meantime, we're probably engaged with other people in the office or other people around us. And so they tend to distract us and they tend to take our time away from us. So if we take 15 minutes at the end of the day, Thursday, to plan Friday, for example, we're not bothered. We can make sure that we're ready to go, get our desk organized, whatever we need to do, so that when we walk in the office tomorrow, we can get started to work right away. If we wait till Friday morning to do that, it takes twice as long. And if you start looking at the value of time and what it's worth to each of us, if we wait till Friday each day to do it, we've doubled the time. we've lost, in a week, we've lost an hour and 15 minutes by not doing PTT.
Oh my God.
So an hour and 15 minutes over a year amounts to what we talked about as an extra week's vacation. That's the amount of time that we would waste in a year, would be an extra week's vacation. And so that's why PTT is so important, is it allows us to save time, and we actually gain time during the week so that we can work on other things.
You know,
That's the
that's
advantage.
true, coach, because for me, I live by the PTT. Sometimes, I don't know if I should say this to you, my coach, but sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't schedule my whole 3 months ahead but if I get the PTT done, it's like, it's like magic.
Mhm.
Even like if a distraction happens or something unexpected happens, eventually, whatever it is in the PTT, I will get it done. My
Mhm.
brain is wired for that. And because we're going to go, well, the SMART goals, and then we're going to distractions. But because the PTT is very clear, it will get done in that week. It's not possible that it doesn't get done.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So it's just a matter of PTT gives us more time to
Yes.
get more accomplished during the week.
Yeah, to be more focused, right? And manage our focus wiser.
Right. It gives us a reward of an extra hour and 15 minutes of productive time every week.
I love how you just said it. This is the first time in years that I'm like, it's a reward. So I'm now going to do the PTT like reward, reward. The squirrel in me is going to be
Right.
fun. So, and now why do goals and what does it mean for a goal to be smart?
Well, first of all, when we look at goal setting, um, oftentimes people try to make it too complicated. Goal setting is really very simple. A goal is, what do I want? When do I want to get it accomplished? And then what steps do I take to accomplish it, or how am I going to get it? Those are the three areas of goal setting. And it's very simple. The smart part of goal setting is that that goal needs to be very specific. It can't be, oh, I'd like to take a vacation next year. Well, wouldn't we all? But where? So a goal must be very specific. A goal must be able to be measured. We should be able to look and see where we're at in the process of accomplishing the goal. That's why the steps are so important. They help us to see where we're at, the action steps to achieve the goal. Then it must be attainable. And attainable means that it must be a realistic and achievable goal. It can't just be a pipe dream, as we say, or something that doesn't really affect anyone. So it's important to be able to attain. Then it must be realistic. And is the goal important, and does it fit in with our lifestyle? Does it fit into who we are? Does it fit into what we want to get accomplished in life? So that's why it must be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and the last one, the T, is timed. A goal needs to have a beginning and it needs to have an ending. But as important as that is, the action steps that we take, the the things that we put down that we feel we need to accomplish to achieve the goal must also be timed. And the reason it's important for those to have deadlines, be timed and have a deadline, is that helps us put them in the order of importance. And so we don't want to be working on action step number 4 before we're finishing action step 1, 2, and 3, because we'll never get the goal accomplished that way. We would feel lost. And when we feel lost in the goal, what happens? You and I both know. We give up.
Yes.
And then it doesn't get accomplished. So that's why the using the SMART acronym for goals does help us put them on paper much better, which is also very important.
It is so
Don't leave
important.
them in your head. Put them on paper.
I know, and that made the difference for me because, I produced a film. I produced, I paid, I the executive, I did everything, you know, all of that. But the film that we started, with you, got produced like 7 years later. The one thing of these smart goals that I didn't take care of is like, when is it going to get done? So in the process, people that were engaged, oh, we don't want it anymore. We don't want to do it. Until I pushed into, we have 1 month, is going to be launched this day. Everything was, honestly, the project was completed, and now there is the film out there that is philanthropic and everything. But because I was coaching with you, and you said, well, you went through me. I don't know if you remember. I remember because your voice is in my head now, right? After you learn through mistakes to apply the wisdom of your coaches. But I remember you saying like, "Good. So what's missing?" I mean, and I went through. I have all of these smart. And you said, "Yeah, smart, but not smart." And I was like, so that's how it got done. So that's very important. So what will be some of the benefits at the long term that because some people, they come to me, Yvonne, is so boring. They feel that they are not going to have freedom. That ever happened to you with clients that no one tells me what to do? I'm like, it's your schedule. You are telling yourself what to do. So, what will be the
Right.
long terms for people, the benefits of getting to put it on the schedule? And you say something beautiful that I always tell people that for me, it made a mindset shift. Write it with a pencil, not with a pen. And tell us about what are the long term benefits and why are they not slaves of time if they actually manage their time?
Well, again, uh, we'll use the we'll use it in relationship with the goals. For example, if I'm going to go back to, I'll use the example of when you and I put the book together. We each had chapter responsibilities, different chapters, and we gave ourselves generally about a 2 week time frame to complete a chapter. So for me, I would look at the chapter I was responsible for. I would guesstimate how long I thought it would take me to, how many hours I would have to invest in that chapter. Then I would double it. I would double the amount of time. I would then go to my schedule, my calendar, and I would put in 1 hour time slots when I was going to work on the book. So I made an appointment with myself so it was in my schedule. And the reason I doubled it is because we're generally poor estimators of our own time, of how long it's going to take. So if I doubled it, generally I got it done early, and then I could pat myself on the back for finishing early. But if I said, oh, it's only going to take me 4 hours, and I put 4 hours scheduled, and then I got to the end of the 4 hours and I wasn't done, now I'm upset with myself, and I'm feeling deflated because I didn't get it done, and so I got to do anyway. By doubling it, you usually get it done early, and you can feel good about yourself. That's why that's important. And then breaking it down into those small 1 hour blocks in your calendar by your due. I start at the due date and work backwards. That's how I do it. And I think we've talked about that as well. But by scheduling backwards, then we know exactly when we're going to work on the book. If something comes up that is an emergency or on any particular day has a priority over what it is we had scheduled, we don't get to eliminate what we had scheduled. We have to move it.
Mm,
We don't get to eliminate it because it was important enough to put in our calendar, but we do move it to a different time. It
yes.
has to be completed. We have that commitment to ourselves. And that's when we start to get more done.
Wow, I'm the thinking. You just see me looking down. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm taking notes again. Refreshing my time management memory right now with my coach. That's a good thing to have mentors. Every time that you see them again, it's like refreshing course, and you get to do it. I'm about to revamp my schedule thanks to you. So, Coach, you are very one of the things I'm most grateful for you is your deep connection to Jesus and the deep connection to God. And this podcast, it's we speak about that, and we speak about how important this is because I know there's a verse in the Bible. It's Romans 12:6. I believe, I hope I'm quoting it well, that says that God gave us, each of us, a special talent, right? In His
Mhm.
grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. And I truly feel that time is a talent, right? That God has given us for us to use well. Would
Yep.
because I think this is the spiritual part of time management that uh, I think people, especially the audience of this podcast, will benefit from hearing from someone like you. So, would you share upon that before we end the show?
Well, one of the things I looked, and I did a little research on that part of it. So, uh, but there's a couple areas. One was Paul wrote in his letter to Ephesians, and he said that he cautioned the Ephesian people, and he said, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." That's from Ephesians. And then it says in Luke, living wisely involves using our time carefully, knowing that the harvest is great and the workers are few, and that time is rapidly dwindling, should help us make better use of our time, both through our words and our example. We are to spend time loving others in deed and in truth. And so we've all, as we talked about earlier, we're all given time. Everybody has time. It's how do we use our time? Do we squander it away on frivolous things? Do we take our time and use it to help other people? And using it to help other people doesn't mean that we just give it away or give that whatever it is that we're doing away. We might be paid back for it. But the point is that we use our time to help other people be successful.
Yes.
And if you think of coaches that you and I both have known through the years, there are those who do it just for the money,
Yes. Oh,
and
yes.
there are those who do it to help other people,
Yes.
and the money follows as a reward.
Every time.
Yeah. And
I think you
so
say,
so the Bible even tells us that we have to use our time efficiently, and we have to be ready to use our time efficiently,
hmm,
no matter where we're at.
wow. This was very deep. And please send me the verses of Paul and in Ephesians. And I, I just felt like Paul was talking to me. I was like, okay, gather with the wise, use your time wisely. This was, I felt it. You feel the Holy Spirit when words like this are spoken. And I know our audience, most of them are going to feel this because
Mhm.
this takes time to another level. This takes time to a level of God. This takes time to that we are given the life we're given, the bread we're breathing by God, our
Yeah.
Father. And Jesus was, something that I love that Jesus said, and I'm going to go all Christian, everyone. So please, I love Jesus, so I think this is important. But Jesus says that what I've done in the name of my Father, you'll be able to do even more that I've done. But what did Jesus do? He used his time wisely. He used his time for serving, right? He used he I think he had the biggest most clean plan, that the goal was smart, all of that. So I really feel that this is a call. You coming here to the show and giving us so many tools, it's a call for people to use their talent and to, after these parables that you, I mean, the scriptures that you just gave us, is like, oh, it's strong, but it's, I think, before we end, because I'm thinking right now, I just felt compassion for the people that may receive this scripture and may
Mhm,
receive this like awareness, like, wow, time is really a gift God has given me for me to use my focus wisely.
mhm.
uh, what if people haven't used it wisely until today? How can they enter redemption, and how can they start, as our book says, stop wasting their time and start doing what matters most?
Well, first of all, uh, God doesn't hold our past against us. Once, once we accept Him, once we accept His gifts, and we acknowledge that He is the center of our lives, and He has given, and we recognize that He is the one who gives us everything. Our past is wiped off the chalkboard. It's gone. It's gone away. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is that we have to keep in mind that uh, Jesus died. When He died on the cross, He took all our past with Him. Though He died over 2,000 years ago, He did it for our, knowing we were going to happen, knowing that we would be born, knowing what our lives would be like. He died so that our past would be taken away.
Wow.
Uh, I think that's the biggest takeaway.
Wow, it's such a blessing and such a responsibility, right? Too, because if it's taken away, we are gifted a clear slate. So
Right?
now it's time to do it right, to
Yeah.
set those goals, to be smart, to gather with the wise, to follow the advice of Paul. Paul's voice is in my head right now, and to do the PTT, and always, for me, it's offering for the grace of God, and so,
Hmm.
and the service of all. And do remember, everyone, I do want to just highlight, this was very deep, so we're going to end up here, but something for those of you who equate time and money together. Money is something that I've heard from my coach. Money is an inevitable outcome when you genuinely want to serve people and you help them create results.
Hmm.
Inevitable outcome when you genuinely, when your heart is on serving the people, not in the money. It's unbelievable. Till this day, I'm an evidence of that. It's That's the result. So, Coach, thank you so much. What is the best? We're gonna make sure to put your website, your contact
Okay.
info, but tell people how they can reach out to you, work with you, organizations, corporations, etc. Before we go.
Well, my email is jeff@jlkrug.com.
Mm.
Um, the phone number is 630-232-6999.
Wow.
And the website is jlkrug.com.
Perfect. And we'll make sure you are the first guest that give us your phone number.
Oh,
Imagine, imagine. Well, I hope it, because it's going to go to a lot of people. But
that's right.
so,
That's all right.
so guys, if you get the answering machine, send him an email. Because my coach does time management very well. So, coach, thank you so much. It was a gift. I think this was more than a gift. This was a blessing. I know that myself and Sophia, that is behind the scenes. Thank you, Sophie. Sophia the Wise, which is
Yes. Thank you
supervising
for
all.
setting that up.
Yeah, and she makes sure that this is edited, and all the team, David, Saul, and there's more people behind the scenes to make me look good, right? It's all of us, it's a team, but I think this was a blessing, and it's going to carry on because this was very potent. Time is a talent given to us by God, and so how are we going to choose to use it with this new life we have? So, Coach, thank you so much. Thank you,
My
everyone.
pleasure. So
Les
good to see
mandamos.
you. So good
Yeah.
to be with you.
Oh, same. Les mandamos a todos un beso. We'll see you soon. Adios. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere where you prefer to listen to your podcast. Make sure to check the links to everything we mentioned in this episode. For more news, future or past episodes, or for any other inquiry, please visit our website at delafloorteachings.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Spirituality Now podcast.